Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Cabinet Committee on Security takes 5 big decisions, including suspension of the Indus Water Treaty and the closure of the Attari border checkpost. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh vows a befitting response to those behind the Pahalgam terror attack. Home Minister Amit Shah visits Pahalgam, meets families of victims. Messages of support and solidarity pour in from across the globe. Leaders and governments condemn the terror attack. And India poised to lead the world economy once again, with the IMF pegging the country's economic growth at 6.2% in 2025 and 6.3% in 2026. The Ministry of External Affairs of India briefed the media following the meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security, or CCS, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Among other measures, the CCS decided to close the Attari Wagah checkpost. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri gave details of those measures taken by India in the wake of the attack in Pahalgam. Take a listen.
Recognizing the seriousness of this terrorist attack, the CCS decided upon the following measures. 1. The Indus Water Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. 2. The integrated checkpost Attari will be closed with immediate effect. Those who have crossed over with valid endorsements may return through that route before 1 May 2025. 3. Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SAARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any SVES visas issued in the past to Pakistani nationals are deemed cancelled. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SVES visa has 48 hours to leave India. 4. The Defence, Military, Naval and Air Advisors in the Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi are declared persona non grata. They have a week to leave India. India will be withdrawing its own Defence, Navy and Air Advisors from the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. These posts in the respective High Commissions are deemed annulled. 5 support staff of the service advisors will also be withdrawn from both High Commissions. 5. The overall strength of the High Commissions will be brought down to 30 from the present 55 through further reductions to be effected by 1st May 2025. The CCS reviewed the overall security situation and directed all forces to maintain high vigil. It resolved that the perpetrators of this attack will be brought to justice and their sponsors held to account. As with the recent extradition of Tahawur Rana, India will be unrelenting in the pursuit of those who have committed acts of terror or conspired to make them possible.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserted that those behind the Pahalgam terror attack will be brought to justice. He chaired a CCS meeting in New Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh warned that India will get to people who stand in the shadows and plot attacks. For his part, Home Minister Amit Shah visited Jammu and Kashmir and paid homage to victims. The Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, chaired a security meeting in Srinagar as well.
India sent a strong message to the perpetrators of Pahalgam terror attack, which caused the loss of 26 innocent lives in Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who cut short his visit to Saudi Arabia, held a meeting of Cabinet Committee on Security or CCS over Pahalgam terror attack. The meeting was attended by Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, and others officials.
The CCS reviewed the overall security situation and directed all forces to maintain high vigil. It resolved that the perpetrators of this attack will be brought to justice and their sponsors held to account.
Earlier on Tuesday, Prime Minister wrote on X, and I quote, "Those behind this heinous act will be brought to justice. They will not be spared. Their evil agenda will never succeed. Our resolve to fight terrorism is unshakable and it will get even stronger." Earlier, addressing an event in New Delhi, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh warned of a befitting response, asserting that, besides the terrorists, those behind the scene who orchestrated the act will not be spared either.
भारत एक इतनी पुरानी सभ्यता और इतना बड़ा देश है जिसको ऐसे किसी भी आतंकी गतिविधियों से किसी भी सूरत में डराया नहीं जा सकता। ऐसी हरकतों का जिम्मेदार और इसके जिम्मेदार लोगों को आने वाले कुछ ही समय में जोरदार तरीके से नजर आएगा। मैं देशवासियों को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं।
Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah, who reached Jammu and Kashmir within hours of the terror attack on Tuesday, visited the Baisaran Meadow in Jammu and Kashmir where terror attack took place. Home Minister also paid homage to the victims by laying a wreath at a poignant ceremony in Srinagar. Later, Amit Shah, along with Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, met the families of the victims of the terror attack. Amit Shah also visited hospital in Anantnag to meet the injured. Later in the evening, Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir Manoj Sinha chaired high-level security meeting in Srinagar. In Jammu and Kashmir, security across the Kashmir Valley has been increased manifold after the attack. The security agencies have also released sketches of 3 suspected terrorists involved in the attack. A national investigation agency team also reached the attack site. The Jammu and Kashmir police has joined the investigation. Bureau Report, DD India.
Global outrage is pouring in after the brutal terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir. From heartfelt messages to high-level calls, world leaders have expressed solidarity with India, strongly condemning the act of terror. Take a look now at how nations across continents are standing by India, reaffirming their support in the collective fight against terrorism.
From United Nations to world capitals, the response has been swift and united. Heads of state, diplomats, and citizens alike are standing with India, offering condolences and calling for global unity in the fight against terror. US President Donald Trump described the attack as a cowardly act against humanity, pledging unwavering support. US Vice President J.D. Vance spoke to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and expressed his condolences. He called Prime Minister Modi and strongly condemned the dastardly terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir.
I want to just, of course, issue our condolences to the people of Kashmir who were affected by this terrible terrorist attack. The President's already spoken with Prime Minister Modi.
Prime Minister of Mauritius, Naveen Ramgoolam, extended his condolences for the loss of innocent lives. MEA spokesperson said Prime Minister of Mauritius called Prime Minister Modi and offered his deepest condolences on the senseless killing of innocent people in the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir. He strongly condemned the cowardly terror attack. Prime Minister of Australia Anthony Albanese called Prime Minister Narendra Modi and strongly condemned the dastardly terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir. He offered condolences on the loss of innocent lives and expressed solidarity with the peoples of India in this hour of grief. Prime Minister of Nepal KP Sharma Oli called Prime Minister Narendra Modi and strongly condemned the heinous terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir and offered his sincere condolences on the loss of precious lives. From Europe to Asia, Africa to the Americas, governments have not only condemned the violence but also reiterated their commitment to counter terrorism efforts and shared security partnerships. Bureau Report, DD India.
The Cabinet Committee on Security recorded its appreciation for strong expressions of support and solidarity which have been received from many governments around the world.
Strong expressions of support and solidarity have been received from many governments around the world, which have unequivocally condemned this terror attack. The CCS recorded its appreciation for such sentiments, which reflect zero tolerance for terrorism.
The Pahalgam terror attack has ignited a firestorm of grief and rage across India. From Ramban to Shivamogga and Ludhiana to Guwahati, the nation rises in protest, united in sorrow and defiance. As leaders call for justice and people demand action, one message echoes loud and clear: India will not forget it.
The world bears witness to the harrowing visuals from the brutal terrorist attack in Pahalgam on Tuesday. Scenes that sear themselves into memory, stirring anguish, rage, and heartbreak in equal measures. Indian Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narwal's wife, draped in sorrow, salutes her fallen hero in a tearful, shattering goodbye. This is not just a farewell, it's the cry of a billion hearts. Massive protests erupted following the Pahalgam terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, as well as across India, with citizens demanding justice. The Kashmir Valley is observing a day-long shutdown in response to the killings of tourists, both as a show of anguish and in solidarity with the victims and their families. Most shops, major markets, and local industrial and trade units remain shut, with public transport off the roads. Significant protests are also taking place at the historic Ghanta Ghar in Lal Chowk. Despite reeling from the aftermath of devastating flash floods and multiple landslides, residents of Jammu and Kashmir's Ramban district staged protests to condemn the Pahalgam terror attack. People gathered in Shivamogga to protest, demanding justice for the victims and condemning the violence. Describing the Pahalgam terror attack as a direct attack on the Indian state, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge called for a befitting response in the matter.
The Congress party unequivocally condemns this cowardly act of terror and those responsible for it in the strongest possible terms. This attack is a direct assault on the unity and integrity of our nation.
In Maharashtra, workers of the Shiv Sena UBT staged protest expressing outrage over the incident. One of the victims of the Pahalgam attack was 64-year-old tourist Dilip Dasale from Panvel, whose death has further intensified the public outcry.
Dastardly, cowardly people coming, targeting them, killing them, and more importantly, segregating people on the religion they practice, and which is unseen. That too in Kashmir, which is seeing a lot of peace after the revocation of 370. I clearly believe the terrorists have crossed the Rubicon, and they have crossed the Lakshman Rekha, a certain Lakshman Rekha, targeting people on religion.
People across the nation, along with various political leaders, have expressed strong condemnation of the incident and have voiced their support for the central government in its efforts to crush terrorism. Tripura Chief Minister Dr. Manik Shah condemned the cowardly and barbaric attack on innocent tourists in Pahalgam. In Punjab, people gathered in Ludhiana to protest the killings in Pahalgam. The demonstrators raised slogans against Pakistan, holding it responsible for the attack, and demanded swift action and justice for the victims. In Shiliguri, members of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad held protest against the terror attack, voicing their anger and calling for justice. Protests were also witnessed in Guwahati, where people expressed their outrage over the incident. Bureau Report, DD India.
The terror attack that shook Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam on Tuesday has left a trail of heartbreak across the country. Families of the victims are in a state of shock, grappling with unimaginable grief. In the midst of mourning, they share their pain, anger, and a desperate plea for justice.
बेटा ऑस्टिन के द्वारा 9:15 साढ़े 9 बजे के बीच में खबर मिला कि हाँ रात को उसने बताया, सबसे पहले उसी ने कॉल किया, बताया कि पापा नहीं रहे करके हम लोग बिल्कुल आश्चर्यचकित हो गए, क्योंकि हमको मालूम भी नहीं था कि इस तरह का घटना हुआ है वहाँ पे। ऐसे
वो वापस तो आएगा नहीं, वो तो जो गया सो गया, पर वो उसकी माँ के दिल पे भी तो, और वो जो नई नवेली 2 साल पहले ही शादी हुई है उसके दिल पे क्या बीत रही होगी, वो पूछो।
तो उन्होंने तो पूछ के मारा ना कि आप हिंदू हैं, मुस्लिम हैं, कौन है, तो क्या नाम है आपका, कलमा पढ़ के सुनाओ तो छोड़ देंगे। तो इन्होंने सोचा ऐसा कोई है यहाँ का लोकल बंदा जो मजाक कर रहा है ऐसे, तो इन लोगों ने ऐसे मजाक उससे बोल दिया कि नहीं जाओ उधर, हमें न तंग करो, उधर जाओ। इतना कहते ही उसने गोली मार दी।
फोन किया था, जो स्टोर में लिखा था, जो टोल फ्री नंबर जो लिखा था उस नंबर को डाल किया, अभी तक वो बोले जे प्रशंस तो डेड हो गए। इतना ही। मेरा छोटा भाई ना, छोटा जो भाई का बीबी है वो भतीजा है, वो कहाँ पर है, कैसे है मेरे को पता नहीं, फोन तो नहीं लग रहा है अभी। तो अभी एडिशनल डीएसपी फोन किए थे मेरे को।
In a heartfelt show to express solidarity and condemnation, local residents in Jammu and Kashmir held a candlelight march on Wednesday, mourning the loss of innocent lives in the terrorist attack on tourists in Pahalgam. DD India's Vishal Baristo reports.
They are lighting up the candles here at Lal Chowk with the banner shouting "Stop Killing." These are the local Kashmiris who are protesting against the Pahalgam killing, and I have with me Nasir Ali Khan. He is a social activist. Nasir, you are lighting up this candle. What does this candle signify?
It simply signifies that lighting a candle is better than cursing the darkness. We as a local Kashmiri, we want to give a very important message to all our brothers and sisters, and particularly to the whole nation collectively, that we send a very strong rooted message of unity, peace, brotherhood from the Valley of Kashmir. This is a situation wherein we all have to stand together. It is not about Kashmiris only, it is about the whole nation. If we stand in this moment, in this situation together, we will be able to curb the menace of terrorism once and for all from Kashmir Valley. We give a message of unity and peace from Kashmir in the past, in the present, and in the future. We will continue to stand against this heinous acts of terrorism in Kashmir Valley.
This is the voice of the valley, voice of Jammu and Kashmir. We stand united. There is no point cursing the darkness. All you need is to light a candle. With cameraman Mohit Uike in Srinagar, Lal Chowk, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Right, moving on, a solemn moment in the Vatican City as Pope Francis lies in state at St. Peter's Basilica, where mourners will have 3 days to pay their respects before his funeral this Saturday. Earlier in the day, his body was transferred in a dignified procession, marking the beginning of the farewell ceremonies. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay reports.
The Vatican is getting ready to bid farewell to Pope Francis, a reformer who reshaped the papacy and championed the marginalized. His coffin, carried in a solemn procession, has arrived at St. Peter's Basilica, where tens of thousands of mourners are expected to pay their respects.
His humility, his bravery, his missionary spirit, all this.
Pope Francis passed away on Monday at the age of 88 following a stroke and cardiac arrest, marking the end of a transformative 12-year reign. Known for his unwavering support for the poor, his legacy remains profound. On Wednesday, his open casket was carried from the Santa Marta Chapel to St. Peter's Basilica, accompanied by cardinals and Latin chants. Worshippers applauded as the procession moved through St. Peter's Square, a poignant tribute to the late pontiff. The faithful and the general public will have 3 days to pay their respects as Pope Francis lies in state at the Basilica. His funeral mass is scheduled for Saturday at 10 a.m. local time.
For this moment, I arrived on Monday for 1 week, and now I had the chance to go there and see the Pope. He was dead, but I saw him and I could say goodbye.
Security measures have been heightened around Vatican City with metal detectors, X-ray scanners and no-fly zone enforced. Snipers, bomb squads and specialized units are on alert as Rome prepares for an influx of pilgrims and world leaders. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
US, Ukrainian and European officials held substantive meetings on Wednesday to try to get peace talks back on track after the cancellation of the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio's trip raised questions over how much progress was being made. Rubio's no-show to the London talks prompted a broader meeting with foreign ministers from Ukraine, Britain, France and Germany to be cancelled, underscoring the gaps in positions between Washington, D.C. and Kiev and its European allies over how to bring an end to Russia's war in Ukraine. The downgrading of the talks comes at a critical time, days after Trump warned that Washington, D.C. could walk away if there was no progress on a deal soon. Trump raised the pressure on Sunday when he said he hoped Moscow and Kiev would make a deal this week to end the 3-year-long conflict. At the heart of Wednesday's talks was an attempt to establish what Kiev can possibly accept after Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff presented proposals to a similar session in Paris last week. 3 diplomats said those proposals appear to demand more concessions from Ukraine than Russia. Meanwhile, the Kremlin on Wednesday said there were many nuances around talks on finding a way to end the conflict in Ukraine. The Kremlin made its comments after talks between the US, Ukraine and European officials faltered on Wednesday as US Secretary of State Marco Rubio abruptly cancelled his trip to London and negotiations were downgraded. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russia was continuing dialogue on a possible settlement with the US, but was not in contact with Europe or Ukraine. Right now, take a look at what else is making news around the world. A massive wildfire in New Jersey has now scorched over 8,500 acres, forcing the evacuation of nearly 3,000 residents. The fast-growing blaze erupted earlier this week and continued to rage through Wednesday, sending thick black smoke into the sky and causing major traffic disruptions. Jordan has officially outlawed the Muslim Brotherhood, the country's most prominent opposition group, and seized its assets. The move comes after authorities linked members of the group to a sabotage plot. Last week, Jordan announced the arrest of 16 members, accusing them of receiving training and funding in Lebanon and plotting attacks involving rockets and drones within the kingdom. And India is poised to lead the global economy once again, with the International Monetary Fund or the IMF projecting it to remain the fastest growing major economy over the next 2 years. According to the April 2025 edition of the IMF's World Economic Outlook, India's economy is expected to grow by 6.2% in 2025 and 6.3% in 2026, maintaining a solid lead over global and regional peers. The April 2025 edition of the WEO shows a downward revision in the 2025 forecast compared to the January 2025 update, reflecting the impact of heightened global trade tensions and growing uncertainty. Despite this slight moderation, the overall outlook remains strong. This consistency signals not only the strength of India's macroeconomic fundamentals, but also its capacity to sustain momentum in a complex international environment. As the IMF reaffirms India's economic resilience, the country's role as a key driver of global growth continues to gain prominence. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code now on your screen. Download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.